Welcome to my blog, A Chief's Wife's Hearts of Fire. I am the Chief's wife, and I'm back with another thing that I've made the last couple of weeks, cabinet cards. Let's get started. Now, before you go into making a bunch of cabinet cards, you have to decide what kind of card you want to do. Do you want to make them look real, as in what you have of yourself, and redo them? Or do you want to make some that are of something else, someone that you don't know? Tim Holtz has a whole line of these papers, and even some that are vintage cabinet cards specifically made for that purpose. You can also use some of the cuts that he has of the dies, and you can make some really neat cabinet cards very simply by just adding a background card to this. Now, what I did was I went and personalized some. I have tucked away on both sides of our family cabinet cards that are original cards. Now, the problem is you do not want to mix the cards that you make with cabinet cards that you have tucked away that are real. I would suggest, however, you get them down and scan them off on your computer. Now, the thing about scanning is when you're scanning a real photograph, it's not that hard to do because the photographs nowadays are made so that they don't flash back on your scanner. Now, some of the older ones will, especially with the backgrounds that are on these that have a metallic finish, or they have a plastic photo top that will flash back on your scanner. You're going to have to make sure that your scanner is at a low flash so that it won't reflect that light back, and all you'll get is little shiny spots all over your photo. Read your manual and adhere to that. That's what I can tell you about that. And in the meantime, keep the rest of your photos all stacked away in black lined boxes, which are photo safe boxes. That keeps your original cabinet cards from being damaged in any way. Now, you want to know why you make cabinet cards that are copies? Because you can handle them. That's what damages real photos, is the oil from our hands. So these can be played around with, passed around, looked at, or even left out. And if you want to do like I did with this one, this is actually a copy of a real photo, and I put a cover onto it so that I can actually dust it. This little cover here was bought for a whole $1.50, and I taped it up so that when I dust it, it's not going to take an original finish off of it. Yes, I like to dust my photos. You're going to clean stuff in your house. That makes sense. Alright, let's here with a couple of cuts. You decide what size you want to make. I have two different sizes here, actually 3 different sizes, because here's one that is all printed out to show you what you need to decide on size. The first thing you're going to decide on is the size of your background card. Now, that's what's important first, because you can always print an extra photo in another size and tuck it away for something else if you don't use it. But the cards come in, this is the basic size, about a half of a sheet of a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet. And what I did was, I took an original cabinet card that I found, and I cloned the bottom on my camera program and just simply covered up all the real picture that was on here, and then changed the lettering to my own personal lettering. Now, some of this is a mix and mix. The ground floor studio and the 5th Street in Logansport was a real studio that existed, and I found this card on the net that someone just posted out. You can find a lot of things on Ancestry, or just type in cabinet card, and you'll have a whole bunch of images show up. You can choose what you want. If you type in a place, like I did, Logansport, Indiana, you'll get some very specific ones, because this is where my family's from, or half of the family anyway. So anyway, you clone this and change your lettering to what you want, and then decide if you want your card build up in the background, which means you're going to add extra scrap pieces of paper that you're going to cut with. I use like a decal cut. The decal is one of the ones that matches the old-time real photo cards really well. and use your distress ink to go around and distress out the cut a little bit to make it look older before you adhere it to the card itself. Now, what kind of paper do I use? These photos were simply on paper, plain old paper, and set to the paper setting on your printer. Now, I have a Canon printer, and that's my real preference of printers, and since I've been through about one every year, I know by now what I'm talking about for the last 20 years. The reason why I did that was because you can see the difference between these two. This one was made on matte photo paper. This was made on regular paper. You actually get an older look with regular paper. The papers that they used back then, those were a different kind of photograph paper that they developed themselves. And we're way past all that. That's why you want to protect those. You're not going to find those again. And the cards that they had were actually very good made cardboards because most of them were made by hand. And these are just plain cardstock. You can tell the difference when you handle them, and once you tell the difference with someone who doesn't realize what the difference is, then they'll be able to pick it out for themselves. Now, in these instances, I made lots of different ones, and especially like this, you can do these very easy or just buy one yourself. Tim Holtz has a whole line of these out for this year, too. Now, when you get ready to print out your picture, and my specific setting on my printer is set so that the black and white comes out a little purplish. I think you can tell the difference between the real gray color and the black and white that mine is. That's because it looks like it's aged as it's gone. It looks like it's been subjected to the light or subjected to harsh elements that makes the color to fade a little bit into the purple side, and I kind of like that myself. My kids don't like it when they print out something that they want a true black and white. My suggestion, change it to the grayscale, separate it, and then you'll get a true black and white. That's because my printer is set like this all the time. Okay, now here's how I started. I decided what size I wanted after I got the card printed, what size would fit it best. And because this size would go right smack over, let's see if I can find one that shows you the difference. The size of the photo, these are different sizes of photo, but they are cut. You can simply cut the top of your card off, or you can match it up exactly. You're going to have some that are very, very long, but you can see where I've just measured the card the same, but the photo is cut differently. It's up to you however you want to do that. But let's say you come up with a strangely cut photo. Now, some Canon cameras, especially your big Rebel, will shape your picture so that it's actually a longer photo than what you would have normally printed out on your camera program. So the problem is you're going to have to crop this. But because I didn't want to crop mine, I went ahead and made it that regular shape, the same shape that it came out as on my scanner. So I just cut some extra photos to build up the back. And it looks like one of the old cabinet cards that's built up. You can see that on this, they added several layers to that cardboard. One was the background, one was the foreground, and another in between that makes up the background where this is slid into. That makes it look real. Now, what you want to do is, you've got your photo printed, you've got your cards cut out after they're printed, you're ready to cut your photo, and I used my straight blade on my friskers. You can use your scissors if you can cut really straight. And then I took my sanding block, which is off of Tim Holtz Ranger Ideology, and sanded the sides all around to make them smooth. I did the same to the cardboards too, so that you can feel the smoothness on all the edges. I kind of missed one little corner yet. After you've got everything smoothed off, even if you cut it with regular scissors that has a different blade on there, you want to make sure that it's all smoothed off as much as it can. Plus, you can also take that sanding block and, let's see, on the coordinations papers, sand the top of it, which is what I did on these. And you can see how it made it look instantly older. Take your shaders and go over and put some Distress ink on there. My favorites to use on my photos, especially the vintage photo, are the Puma Stone and the Black Soot. These go really well with all of the black and white or antiqued photos. There you go. You decide what you want to do, whether you want to build it up or whether you want to make an old look older. Now, don't forget one tip on here. You want to bend some cards and then add your shader and stamp across the back so that it's just randomly done, and look at what you're going to end up with. I love this. And even this is one of my favorite ones because this is not her real body. This is actually the body of his first wife, but this was actually her mom and her dad. So I took her head out of one photo that I have, superimposed it onto this, and made the one single picture of the parents. That's the whole idea behind it, is the one set of family that I have on this side. And I even matched all of their names at the bottom for what the studio was. And it seems that I have shared a lot of not just history doing this, but my love of photography, which came from my grandfather. I think I got the bug from him. There you go. I hope you give this a try. It's really simple and really easy, no matter which way you decide to do it. You can do whatever you want and have some fun at it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll return again. Bye.